I never realized the value, to be honest with everybody, of supporting a small business. You know, what does that do for a community?
Hey, this is Aaron Lovett, and I'm here with Jeremy Byrd of Front Street Sign Company. Jeremy, introduce yourself. Tell us what you do.
I'm the owner of Front Street Sign Company. Unfortunately, I don't live in Smyrna. I used to live in Smyrna. I do live in Murfreesboro now. But, I've looked at coming back, but we found our home in Murfreesboro, and that's where we're at. But we love Smyrna, and I used to work for the company that I now own when I was 12 years old. So I have a little bit of a history here.
You worked at Front Street Sign Company when you were 12?
Well, at that time, it was a franchise. We had to rebrand. We didn't renew franchise or anything, chose to go out on our own and be able to make some decisions, based on what we felt was right, not what a franchise felt was right. Okay.
So you've kept, you started then as a new brand as Front Street Sign Company, as a new business, basically.
Correct. Once that franchise expired, it started as basically a brand new business. That's correct.
Okay. So then how long has Front Street Sign Company as Front Street been in existence?
4 years now.
4 years. Okay. All right. Wow. Take us through, we've seen a lot of changes in the last month or so, but take us through what like normal day-to-day operations are prior to, and then what have you seen happening in the last 3-4 weeks with business?
Prior to, last year was a record year for our company as far as sales over the course of 26 years. So last year was by far, we doubled best year in the past 26 years. The last 3 months, I'll be honest with you, we were on pace to set records for the first quarter. And obviously with the virus and whatnot, things did slow down a little bit. I had about 3 days. Fortunately, I have not had to lay anybody off. I've not had to let anybody go at this point. Business is doing very well. We're lucky that the business concept we have is well diversified. We're not stuck with just schools. We've got manufacturing clients, we've got school clients, and the manufacturing clients are the ones that really need us right now. And several government agencies we're actually doing stuff for as well, just so they can keep their employees safe and their customers safe when they come into their place of business.
So you're doing custom signage related to COVID-19 health, sanitary signage. Tell me more about that. I don't know if I understand.
A lot of it's floor graphics. A lot of it's stuff that says stay 6 feet apart. The Walmart, if you walk through Walmart right now, they got floor graphics down. Those are the things that we're doing. It's non-slip stuff that allows people to keep their traction as they walk over it. Not something that's going to cause them to fall or whatnot. But that's pretty much what we're doing. The stuff that you saw yesterday for the public service announcement that 6 different agencies for Rutherford County Sheriff's Department, Eagleville Police Department. We did the signs for them for the public safer at home announcement. So it's been pretty cool to be involved with some of those projects, but even some of it's wayfinding stuff where they've changed the routes to try to keep people to keep that social distancing in play at bigger businesses and manufacturing warehouses. So, some of it's wayfinding where they've redirected their people. Same thing like Walmart did, but we're not using buggies. We're using signage to redirect people.
You're making it look good. Okay, so, sorry, I was thinking about those buggies. So I know in the past, I've had real estate signage done, and I imagine that there might be a change in the amount of real estate signage, but I've seen, and that's just a guess, I have seen though that you have done some some similar signs, but for the seniors that are graduating this year that aren't necessarily, they're not getting to do some of the senior stuff that they were going to get to do because of the school closings. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so me and the team got together a few weeks ago when we felt like it was about the week after they made all these announcements on public distancing and all these other CDC guidelines. And we were like, okay, so we still got to fill in the gaps because we're not getting the everyday person coming in as much as we usually do. So we were trying to fulfill a need in the community, and we felt like the need was these seniors. They're not getting to experience all the things that I got to experience, my employees got to experience as a high school senior. And we also wanted a price point to where $12 wasn't that big of a deal because there's people out of work, and I didn't want it to be a thing where we're not in it to make a ton of money on those. It's just a public service thing for us that we wanted to provide a price point, a service, and something to recognize the seniors and to fill in our gaps and to keep our employees working and busy. And by far, it's probably been one of the best promotions that we've ever done as far as response and getting to know new people that have never been in the store before anyway. So it's actually kind of been a really cool thing for us to experience all these different people coming in that we've never done business with. So it's had several advantages of getting to know more people, getting to know our community a little better.
Okay, very, very good. And you said that you hadn't had to lay off anyone. How is it that you managed to navigate this so far and be able to keep your workforce and give people things to do?
Well, thankfully, and it's not about bragging or anything, but Front Street operates debt-free. We don't owe any money, and I don't have to take money out of here right now. And I have gave my employees that commitment that anything we're making goes to employ them. My goal through this whole thing from the beginning was not to lay anybody off. I remember sitting down with my employees and explaining to them, hey, there's no need to worry. We're going to get through this. I'm willing to take the opportunity for this is educational opportunities as well. I know one of mine sat her down the other day and I'm paying you to learn. And she sat down, did some tutorials. I've got some software I need her to learn. And we've been so busy that she's not really had that opportunity to learn some of these programs. And so it's actually been a good time, and we're trying to make the best of this so that, our product line can go right back into production on all facets once this is all over. And sorry, I kind of got off track just a little bit, but we have a diverse product line. We do t-shirts, we do signs, we do general signage, we do lighted signs, we do laser engraving, we do laser cutting. So we've done a lot of really cool stuff lately, done some neat projects. So it's kind of one of those things. We've kind of built a business that somebody can come in and they can brand, market, or recognize employees all in one place and not have to go to several different businesses to accomplish 3 different jobs.
Cool. Very cool. So you mentioned once we get past this, what's your outlook for the future? What do you see going forward? I know you don't have a crystal ball, but just what's your vision? What are you seeing?
It's not really a vision. I'm going to be honest with you. I have a concern, and my concern is, and I get emotional about this because I have branded people. I have watched people go into business that have grown, and Mr. Cool's Ice Cream, to be honest with you, they're one of my people. I remember them coming in and doing their first van, and then now we've done this really cool wrap for them. I don't want to see the people that I saw start go out because of something that's not in their control. Big issue I see is, the American people are leveraged in a lot of different areas, private sector, government sector. And I see that being an issue for small business owners. And I am concerned about who's going to be open and who is actually going to close their doors permanently after this is over. And, that affects our community too, and the people in our community. And the biggest thing that I see, I feel like once we get out of this, people are still, we're getting accustomed to being socially distant. And this is killing me because you already know I'm a hugger, I'm a handshaker, I'm everything. So I love people, I love my community, and I love doing whatever I can to help people. And that's my passion. Front Street Sign Company was not a plan. It was a 17-hour decision. A little bit about that story. That's a totally different conversation. And it's $1,000 in the bank. That's how I started. And I see people that have done that and they have grown, and I'm hoping and I'm praying that I'm not having to remove. The worst thing for me is to have to remove signage from a building that I put up on somebody that I saw had so much aspiration and so much good things going for them. Maybe it was a different business model, or maybe it was just the people I was dealing with. I had high hopes for them. And then something like this just completely this can financially ruin some people. And that's what I'm concerned about.
Man, we certainly see more than ever the value of supporting local businesses. Not that there's not a place for the big shops, the box stores and such, but really, right now is in my mind, it is the time to reach out, and even if you've never supported a particular local business before, just do it because those guys need help more than anybody else.
I totally agree, and I think me and you had this conversation the other day. I never realized the value, to be honest with everybody, of supporting a small business. What does that do for a community? Until I did it. And, I tell everybody now, you don't understand the value you have supporting a small business until I feel like you've owned one, or you've actually known somebody that actually owns a small business that, they're paying for their little girls' dance lessons. They're paying for baseball. They're supporting the local schools and whatnot, and doing what they can to make a difference in the community. Not saying the big box stores don't, but just saying that the tax dollars stay local when you spend local. And I think that's something a lot of people aren't educated on, that how much of that money actually stays local when you spend local and you do business with a small business.
Yeah, I know just personally, my experience in deciding to use Front Street, for example, versus, because you can order signs from anywhere across the country or other countries. But the responsiveness, the customer service, and the quality has always just been better. And so to me, and a lot of times there's not actually in the end, a difference in price, but sometimes price is an issue. And yet if you can overcome any pricing issues with good customer service and responsiveness and timing and quality, for sure. So that's I think that's not just true for signs and signage. That's true across the board for lots of local and family-run businesses that just you're going to have a better experience in the end.
Yeah, I totally agree. And again, like I said, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, even, I'll admit that wasn't my mindset. And, that's a lot of the mindset that everybody's got. They just don't realize and the value a small business has to a community, and the people that are employed there, how much it has value to them. And, I believe wholeheartedly that my employees enjoy working for a small business and not a corporation. So, I've heard them say, I've got one that tells me, she's like, I'm going to retire from here. That's what I want to hear as a business owner, is that somebody's willing to stick it out and work for a small business, because she came from a big box store, and she's like, I can go home. I don't have to take blood pressure medicine anymore. My blood pressure is lower. And, all I ask them to do is we take care of business. We take care of the customer. The rest of it will come. If we take care of the customer and we produce a good product in a timely fashion, it'll all take care of itself. And that's been my belief from the beginning. And it's proven to be pretty solid business plan at this point.
Good. So a few more questions for you, just to wrap up real quick. We talked about the outlook for the future. Let's see. Okay. So these are some kind of personal questions. If you don't mind sharing, what's the best piece of advice that you've been given?
I was told by a good friend of mine, he reminded me when all this started was, it's what you do for your people when times are tough that they'll remember. And he's right. It's how you treat your employees when times are tough that they're going to remember. When times are good, people expect, that they're going to get bonuses. They're going to, they're not going to be getting laid off, and that's the biggest. I've gone through this whole thing remembering what he said. That Kurt Garrett actually told me. He's with Volunteer State Bank, and that because I called him just for some advice. I mean, I always try to reach out to people. I'm not one to not try to find that advice. I've called you a few times, in fact, for advice, and I just try to utilize my contacts just to try to get good advice. And by far, that is something that still rings in my head right now. Is it's what you do for your people. It is what you do for your people. It's what you do for people during the tough times that matter the most, that they'll never forget. And I'm navigating this whole thing with that in mind, and taking care of my employees and trying to take care of the community and provide products that, like the senior thing, at a price point that anybody can afford. Are we making a whole lot of money off of them? No, but that's not the point. The point is to take care of the community while we're down and take care of our employees while times are tough. So that's the mindset I've gone into this whole thing.
Very good. Let's see. Next question. Do you have a favorite local hangout?
Favorite local hangout. I am real partial to Marinas on the Square in Murfreesboro. Probably one of my absolute favorite places. And in Smyrna, the new Slick Pig, Matt taking over, that would be my next favorite here in Smyrna. But Murfreesboro Marinas for sure, and the new Slick Pig now in Smyrna.
Sounds like a family that likes to eat.
I love to eat. I don't look like it, but I absolutely, I can eat you under the table, I think.
Well, okay. That's saying something. I can put some down too, although I need to stop that. Let's see. What's your favorite book or reading material these days?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not necessarily a reader. I do enjoy reading the Bible. I enjoy reading that. I am one that my attention span when it comes to reading is not that great. So the next thing that I really enjoy, that I really just get zoned in is business books. There's some of the books that I can read from the front to the back and read it again about how people start businesses, how to navigate employment and whatnot. That's for some reason, that's what I enjoy reading. The stories and whatnot, I can take them or leave them. I used to read the front of a book, the middle of the book, and the back of the book, and it just, I mean, I got the gist of it, but I just, stories, unless it was nonfiction about somebody's life where it was somebody I was really interested in, or I have a passion for cars, so I enjoy reading stuff about cars. I'm typically drawn more to rare cars, but not necessarily the stuff you see on an everyday basis. But I do enjoy reading stuff about the automotive industry and the classic cars. That is something I will say. I enjoy that stuff as well.
Favorite car of all time?
Favorite car of all time. I wish it was here right now, but when I had the opportunity to buy these buildings 5 years ago, when I was here and I was working when I was 12, there was a 1970 Mercedes 280 SL sitting here. And I didn't realize what kind of car it was at that time. I just knew I liked it. I was drawn to it. I remember asking Jim if I could drive it to prom, and he's like, no. So I didn't get to drive it, but to make a long story short, when I made the offer on the buildings 5 years ago, about a year after, I made an offer on the car, and I was able to purchase the car that I've wanted since I was 12, and I now own it, and I'll say it's probably one of my favorite cars is my 1970 280 SL. Up till that point, it was a 1947 Frazier Manhattan that I came across, which is another rare car that I just enjoy the stuff that's just kind of odd, unusual, and people come up to it. And I remember at a show, my Frazier people were arguing in front of it, and I never corrected them. It's an American car, but I had two guys arguing, and they finally argued their self out, and they decided it was French. But it's not a French car. It's an American car. I never corrected them, but I enjoyed watching the argument play out.
That's one of those arguments that Google could have fixed.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it was two older gentlemen, and I don't think they were Googling anything at that point.
All right, very good. Hey, have you do you do the audiobook thing?
I have not done any audiobooks. I'm very busy. And I'll just be absolutely honest with everybody. When I get home, I enjoy my family. And if I'm not working, that's typically what I'm doing. I'm at home. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do next. Obviously, there's not a whole lot of things to do next right now. I'm hoping here in the next month, we're talking about what we're doing next and what we're going to do today. Not, hey, let's go to the back patio, which we're totally soaking that up and enjoying it. But, as far as doing a whole lot of extracurricular stuff, as far as audiobooks and whatnot, I'd love to, but I've got two small kids, and I think by the time I'd start that audiobook, I'd get interrupted about 5 minutes into it.
Yeah. I get to spend a lot of time in the car, or did, and will again. So audiobooks were a much better alternative than listening to the radio. I enjoy that as it's like a car university in a sense. You can learn a lot of stuff, but you do have to have the uninterrupted time.
Yeah, well, my phone don't stop ringing, so I'm driving, and I probably get 4 calls between here and the house, so it doesn't stop, which it doesn't bother me. 90% of it's business, and I'm okay with customers having my personal cell phone number and contacting me about any problem or something they may need. That's my whole goal, is to be there for my people, my customers, and my community. So I wish I could play the audio book without the phone ringing sometimes, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. Okay. So do you have a hidden talent? Next question: hidden talent or a talent that you wish you did have?
I've always wanted to learn the guitar. I don't know why, but I've always kind of had an interest in music. I used to play the trumpet. I could still pick up a trumpet right now and play it. But that's something a lot of people don't know about me, is I do enjoy music. Wish I would learn the guitar. May have to get with Ron Alley at some point and take a few lessons over there at Carpe, but that's going to be when time allows. And right now, definitely no time for that.
Gotcha. Understand. Okay, last question. Do you have any advice or any direction, anything that you want to say to the good folks that are watching today?
Hang on. I'm praying for you. My people are praying for the community every day. We're going to be okay, and we're going to come out of this. And there's going to be some tough times, I believe, here in the future. And we're all just going to have to be kind to one another. You know, the one thing that I have seen is, and I really hate to go here, but stop bashing everybody on Facebook. Be positive. Put a positive post out there on a daily basis. That is what I try to do. And I try not to condone anybody because, you know, if I'm complaining about the people at Lowe's, guess what? I'm driving by Lowe's. So I'm not going to say it was a little ridiculous the other day, but I'm not going to get out there and bash people. This is not the time for us to be separating ourselves from other people. It's the time for everybody to come together and promote positivity. That's the biggest thing right now that I see. I cannot believe how much negative stuff is out there. And I know it's a reality, but positivity is a reality as well. And we have direct control over that as human beings. Direct control. We control that. We control what we put out there on Facebook and how we project ourselves as people when we're out in public. Still be kind. Be nice to each other. Again, if I see some of y'all, I'm not real good with this social distancing thing. I'm probably going to hug you, and you're going to look at me like, whoa, but sorry, that's me. Just be positive. That's the biggest thing right now. And try to control your emotions. I know there's some things that, you know, I have some very strong feelings about, and it's not positive. So I vent to my wife, and that's as far as it goes. I don't drag it on. It don't need to get drug on. Stay positive. That's my biggest thing.
No, that's good advice. And you're right. We do control a lot of it. What we project out there, it's not just a reflection of what's inside. It also affects what's inside. And so if we focus on putting a smile on our face and looking for the positive in every situation, then or looking for the hope, then we'll feel better. We'll be a happier person. There's scriptural and there is scientific research to show that the way that what we choose to focus on really does affect our spirit. And so we should. I wholeheartedly agree with that. I think it's great advice. Not to get on the soapbox, but I think it's fantastic advice too.
Well, I know, Aaron, I will say this. I've not ever seen you without a smile or an upbeat attitude about anything. That's why I've called you the few times I've called to actually get some advice from you. And you're always positive. And that's why I enjoy being friends with you. And the friends that I'm with, I'm going to be honest with you, they're all positive people. They're not the doom and gloom. And, you know, I think we're all guilty of it sometimes. It may be on your way home, driving home from work, and you're feeling that way. But I try, because it can affect your entire mental state, the way you treat your kids, the way you treat your wife. Just try to be positive. That is by far some of the best advice I can give. And, you know, I try to give it to I'm giving it to myself as well, is to stay positive, because during this whole pandemic, I have been guilty of my mind just wasn't in the right place. And I had to reel it back in and realize in that moment, hey, I can't do this. I can't be this way. Because the way I go home, and I don't want to be short with my kids. I don't want to be short. Heaven forbid I'm short with my wife. But that's not what we need to do. Yeah, be positive. And like I said, you're the epitome of that. Every time I've seen you, and I'm sure everybody else that's going to watch this is going to totally agree that Aaron Lovett loves life. And I totally get that when I talk to you. And I appreciate what you're doing. And I appreciate you doing these interviews. I think it's important. And I think it's a good thing.
Well, I want to build people up. I want us to help each other, support each other. I do think that that's important. And, you know, we've all got good days and bad days, right? But I do think that you can put your, just like when you were dating your wife, put your best foot forward and look at things, not in a Pollyanna way, but you can find the best in any given situation, no matter how, and there are lousy situations, there really are. We all deal with stuff, but that doesn't mean that the things that we deal with have to turn us into a bitter, negative person. And if in my experience, when I'm focused on the negative, when I'm focused on how something affects me in a way that I don't like, I'm not getting what I want, then I'm not able to help people. I'm not able to build other people up. I'm not able to be my best. And so I've got to look outside of myself and look at other people and consider other people's interests and what's good for them. And when I do that, then it's a lot easier to be positive, a lot easier to put a smile on my face because there's more happiness in giving. And so if we're looking for ways to give, then, and we're not focused on ourselves, then it's easier. Easier. There's an ER there. Not easy, but easier. Well, Jeremy, thank you very much. I appreciate the time you've taken out of your busy day to
no problem.
To talk. And I'll put the details down there or up there or wherever they go. Do you want me to put your email address, your mobile phone number? Probably not. The business phone number, the website?
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. And sales at frontstreetsign.com.
Okay.
That would work out well. And I appreciate it.